We are live. Good evening, comic fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm Revolution Short Team today. Because it's arrived and because I actually do generally want to see what happens in this one, I was going to read Sergeant Rock versus the Army of the Dead. Mildly disappointed it wasn't versus the Army of Darkness, but I'm guessing a different company has the rights to those characters, which is a shame because it's written by Bruce Campbell. And of course, Bruce Campbell, you want him to write about the Army of Darkness rather than just an Army of the Dead. Don't get me wrong, he's pretty good at writing about zombies, but we'll get to that in a bit. First off, we're going to talk about Eduardo Riso and artwork, which I love. I am a huge fan of it. He does brilliant line work. It is simple but effective. He does just enough detail and knows how to do a backdrop really effectively, while also ignoring a lot of unnecessary things. Now, this might go against the grain for people who watch my reviews, because sometimes I will talk about how much I get absolutely dragged into a really nice bit of three-point perspective of a cityscape or a landscape, and I can find myself just really enjoying every tiny little thing that happens inside that bit of artwork. But Eduardo Riso does things a bit different than that. He just uses inking to let you focus on what actually matters to the story, which means I also forgive him a little bit for not putting in some backdrops every once in a while. Sometimes it is just whatever color the room is in, just as a blank canvas. But the reason I've given this one, guy's brilliant when it comes to inking. It's one of those talents which I think sometimes gets ignored. I've probably shown my age a little bit here by remembering Chasing Amy, where there's an entire thing where it just gets insulted. The inker just gets insulted and gets called a tracer. I think it does matter a lot more than that. Not necessarily on just how you handle the line work, although yes, a bold or shallow line is important, but it's the negative space of shadows, which Eduardo Riso does brilliantly. It is an absolute highlight of his work to see how he shades things and how it uses that to actually make the colors seem more vibrant even, which is just genuinely good. Yeah, I mean, keep that kind of thing up. When it comes to the writing, it is Sergeant Rock and the Easy Company versus Hitler's Nazis, which I'm frankly amazed hasn't happened before, which makes me think that this isn't going to be the most original story in the world, but it's Bruce Campbell, and I'm willing to give him a bit of benefit of the doubt. Now, Bruce Campbell, for people who don't know, is an actor predominantly and is also a writer. He's been part of my life, or parasocially, since I was a kid. I was far too young when I watched Evil Dead. I was 5 years old, and my dad got a really ropey copy of the Video Nasty, and I had to actually go borrow a top-loading tape player so I can actually watch it. But since then, he's been pretty much always there. TV series like Hercules and Xena or Burn Notice, a whole bunch of movies, appearing as either a guest slot in other people's things. I mean, literally, he's now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as well as already being in the Spider-Man movies. And he's also a writer. And I don't know how much else he's written other than the books of his, which I have got and I have enjoyed. And when I was reading them, it did make me feel that he was not using a ghostwriter. Felt like an authentic voice. But then I hit the point of like, well, how much do I know of Bruce Campbell's authentic voice? He's an actor. Everything he does might be stage managed. Every single interview or panel appearance at a convention might be him playing the part of Bruce Campbell. Who knows? But because he's always been there, I felt like I had a fairly good handle on what to expect, and I got it. In fact, I got a little bit more than I expected. It's a solid comic book. I'm not just going to give him an easy run because he's doing it on his own without bringing in an actual comic book writer to help him out on this one. He seems to have a fairly good handle on what he's doing, and I'm willing to bet Riso has also taken some of his ideas and made them work a little better as a comic book. Just that kind of relationship between a writer and artist does seem to be working quite nicely here. The science he puts in behind them becoming zombies is slightly better than I expected. Quite often in Nazi stories, there is a kind of expectation there's going to be something supernatural involved. It's a fairly often used trope of horror from World War II, and it's kind of nice that they went more the science creepiness route for this one, but still absolutely creepy and kind of brutal. Really done quite well. There's only one criticism I give for the story, and it's just it slows something down before the final act of the first issue, where it's Easy Company getting a bunch of high-tech gubbins like night vision goggles and compact walkie-talkies, which, yes, okay, not really high-tech gubbins for the rest of us, but it did mean something for the people involved in this. And I kind of feel that a big deal was made out of it than maybe needed to at that point in the story. I'm sure they'll be useful later on, but in a James Bond kind of way, which set up the trope, at least I'm aware, you do spend the time to get introduced to them, and every single one of them, even if they seem kind of weird and unusual, will be used later on. Because of that, Chekhov's gunning it. I think maybe there's a slightly better way to do it these days, which is just introduce them mid-story. And if you want to do a little flashback about them, get excited to get in them, you can do that. I don't think it'd slow down the action. I think it actually just add extra depth to the storytelling, but it also would not slow down a first issue. It would have kept it a little bit more punchy, which is kind of what I was looking for. And unfortunately, that did slow it down just a tad, a smidge, but none stop me enjoying it. It's a thoroughly cool comic book, and I've also found out that there's the really nice one in cellophane wrap, not clear, which has Frank Quitely doing a really gory cover, which I kind of want, but I'm not sure I want to buy it when I've got like a regular cover here. But yes, thoroughly enjoyable. If you're into this kind of thing, I think you're going to get a kick out of it. That's it for me today. I'm going to come back tomorrow with another review. Until then, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.